All right. Let's get it going right here, right now. This is TMI, and you're listening to episode 20 of Too Much Information. If you didn't know by now, my name is Chad, and as always, I'm joined by the vampire queen herself, Shelly Martinez, and we are here to fill your earbuds with a lot of information because, folks, TMI, if the name wasn't perfect for Shelly, I don't know what else we could have called this show, because for the last 20 weeks, she has outdone what we could have ever expected in terms of the TMI quota. So with that being said, how's it going this week, Vampire Queen?
You know, things just spew out of my mouth. Blech! That's what happens.
Spew like a red substance of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing. These people out here that are all, oh, Shelly's bitter, Shelly, no, bitch. I have to spit it out so that it's not with me anymore. So that it's no longer in me. So I can be rid of it. So I have to spew these things out here on TMI.
It's honest. It's honesty. That's what's a relief about doing the show with you is you are a honest podcaster, and you not holding back is great. And as we've evolved over 20 weeks, we've had to we haven't even had to beep anything. You know, you've just gone right at it. So it's been an evolution even of that. So yeah, you're honest, and that's very hard to find sometimes because you get people who want to tiptoe, you know, don't want to say everything that's needing to be said. But it's okay. I get it. I get that too. That side is fine. You need to protect yourself in some ways, but you don't really care about protecting yourself sometimes.
No,
You
I
just wanna
protect
say it.
myself. I talk to my chin brother, but just in a different way because much like how I've blackballed myself from the business with just running my mouth and doing all the things, like this is just who I am. And, you know, it's no surprise. And then people feel like, oh, just because I have a podcast, I'm not going to talk. Like they know, but then they get shocked. These people that get upset with me, right? But it's like I have nothing to lose. Just like I've said a show or two ago, like I have nothing to lose. And then going back to your connection, this is why I loved shows like Howard Stern back in the day because he was saying things that people only behind closed doors and whisper behind closed doors would say. But he was unapologetically saying these things, not getting upset, just having conversations and like whatever. And if he did, he was covering it up. But like he just seemed like just very, I don't want to say shock jock because to me that kind of sounds like not that,
Right.
but kinda, like, what the true essence of that was and that's the kind of broadcasting I've always been attracted to, are these people who are unapologetically themselves and just say it like it is. I also think about the show Martin, because Martin would always get in trouble with Gina because
Yes.
he's telling
Yeah.
too much. He's like, "How
Yeah.
can you be telling? How can you say that? How can you say that?" It's like, "What? What? What?" And I
Yeah.
grew up loving Martin, not just because it was a funny show, but again, going back to what I said, probably episode 1, I always have, since I was a little ass girl, loved broadcasting, talk radio. So when Martin, I was that age of watching the new Martins, I thought it was awesome. And here's a sitcom, and one of the center focal points is he works for a
Yeah,
radio
he's a
show
radio guy.
and
Yep.
he talks. And like I've thought about that with throughout the years when I say things that can get me in trouble. And I thought that's what Martin would do. So yeah, like this is the content I'm attracted to. So why wouldn't I put it back out?
Right. Do you have a alter ego named Shell Nene who lives
I have
across the hall?
No, but I have one. I have a couple. There's one named Janice. Back in my TNA days, I had a girl, homegirl Amanda. Shout out to Amanda. And this was when I was pretty tight with Kong, so I met her through Kong. And there was a group of us girls, and I don't know why we did this, okay? But we all thought it was funny, and we would just slide into character to have these like New York Jewish accents. And my name was Janice. Oh my God. We went for coffee. Oh, here we go. Here's
Oh
Janice
boy.
busting out. And so that's what we would do. So that's one of my things with my girls, Janice. So shout out to you, Kia and Amanda.
So you did some coffee talk.
Did some coffee talk, Miss
Okay.
Janice over here. I always have the tea. I always have the tea. That's what's
Okay.
going on over here with Janice, okay?
Uh, One of my favorite SNL sketches, Coffee Talk with Linda Richmond. One of the best.
I
Very
was never
forgotten.
into SNL. I was a Mad TV girl. I
I
was like,
like Mad TV.
that
Mad
was
TV
my
was
stuff
different because
there.
they were very rogue, and it was also very California Mad TV. But no, SNL. Come on, I mean, come on.
I'm not dissing it. I just never was really got into it because Metal Jesus, a lot of times he'll bring up, oh, like this. I'm like, what are you talking about? So, on SNL. And I'm like, no, I didn't watch it really. Like, like when, for example, Wayne's World, I didn't realize that was based off of this SNL character that they had. I thought it was just Wayne's World. So that's kind of how I
Wow,
introduced to all that.
wow,
Yeah.
Wayne's. Come on, really?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Tardy to the party. Gosh.
Okay. It's all right. As I came, right? I came to the
You
party.
did. You did. You did come to the party.
Social.
But Matt TV was definitely very LA because it was all done out there. It was all California
I was
people,
just
very
very
Hollywood themed. So
I was very attracted to it, and that's was my introduction to Will Sasso, and I freaking love him.
I do love Will
And
Sasso as well. Yes.
before he left Twitter, we used to be Twitter buddies. So I don't know. I'm just a Mad TV girl, Mrs. Swan. Like, oh my gosh, I love it all.
Will Sasso, great, also great ambassador to the wrestling community,
Yes,
but little overplayed on some of the impressions. They're not as good as people tout them to be.
that's
Not all of
okay.
them. The Jesse Ventura one is the bread and butter. It cannot stray from that. The Hulk Hogan one isn't that great. The Austin one is very good. The other one's not the best, but the Jesse Ventura one, when he had the show Hello, I think Dudesy, I think it was. Oh my god, he would do ad reads as Jesse the Body Ventura, and they would be AI generated ad reads. And I'll send you some of them.
Please.
They are some of the funniest things ever recorded
I can't
because
wait.
they would be like for Arby's, they'd be Arby's buy one get one free beef days are back, but it would be reading it as Jesse the Body.
That's
It was
awesome.
so ridiculous, but love that. So yeah, Sasso, great wrestling ambassador.
And he had a show, 10-minute podcast. Did you ever get into that?
I did. I listened to it a
I
little bit. I used to listen
loved
to it on the
it.
train.
Oh, I 10-minute podcast. I love that. And that was during a time where I had at that point, I had already my first I guess you'd say podcast on Blog Talk Radio was
Oh,
Funtime Radio.
I used to do blog talk.
Mm, Blog Talk Radio. uh, I had Funtime Radio was my first one, and then I had Martinez Girls Radio, and so and then the Wake and Bake. So I had 3 podcasts I had done at that point when I got introduced to 10-minute podcast, and it was during a time where I needed inspiration, and I just remember binge listening to a bunch of their episodes, and I was just laughing so hard, and it just reminded me of honestly, like when I'd hang out with my wrestling buddies back in the day and how we would like bust each other's balls and like just go back and forth. They gave me my fix because I feel like when I moved back to California, I lost a lot of my wrestling buddy friends.
Okay.
And so 10-minute podcast is near and dear to me because it inspired me and they gave me that brother.
Nice. I got mine.
Hold on.
BOGO beef days are back at Arby's.
Oh, God.
For the rest of the month, when you buy an Arby's beef sandwich, you get another one free, including the deluxe Wagyu Steakhouse burger and the Bacon Ranch Wagyu South burger and the chicken bacon Wagyu Ranch fully loaded Chop House Angus certified taco salad combo platter trio. For those are not real things. BOGO beef days are back at.
But the best part is like he'll just keep like they'll keep adding to the ad. So he'll read that whole thing and then he'll go through the next round and it'll be like, and in addition to that, the Wagyu and then blah blah blah. And now on top of that, we've got stacks of beef 10 miles high. Just,
oh my gosh.
oh, it's so funny.
Here's the thing. I had to
stop
close
doing that show.
I had to close my eyes and not be distracted with looking at him. And that's when it was really hitting me with the voice, because kind of get distracted looking at him and he's doing the voice. But when I closed my eyes, I felt like it was freaking Jesse Ventura. And I pictured him even doing mannerisms.
Now the Jesse is, I just, it's on another playing field for me. I'll send you, there's a 30-minute compilation, Dudesy Jesse Ventura ad reads volume 1. It is insane. And then there's volume 2. It's another 26 minutes. It is ridiculous. Just.
What are your thoughts on Jesse Ventura?
Oh, I love Jesse. I love Jesse. Love him. So now, look, politically, do I line up with him all the time? Absolutely not. But I love Jesse's outsider take on everything. I love that he challenges everything. I love that he tried to make a difference in a lot of different ways. And then in wrestling, I mean, he is a guy who literally, I mean, he's one of the only people that Vince is literally scared of. And I just always admired that. And I read his books. I read his conspiracy theory books. Met him a couple of times. I interviewed him a few times. Love Jesse. How about you?
I don't know. Because here's the thing. Everything you just said right now, I agree with you. And that's why I go, I don't know. Here's the reason why. When I was a broke ass and I did audience work for this show, which was it, Dr. Phil or was it The Doctor? So it was one of these daytimey shows, and he was a guest on there. I was so excited. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. Like, because all the things you just said, right? And so he was there to debate about cannabis being a positive, right?
Right.
And so every time the person was trying to make their point, he was talking over them, getting loud and aggressive. And like, I was like, man, he's making me feel uncomfortable right now.
Yeah,
and he
that
just
is
kept,
one of his tropes in that environment. Yes.
and I just didn't like it. And I felt the energy in the room just kind of like, I don't even know what the word is. It just went like, it was like this. And then it went,
yeah.
And I didn't like it. And he kept doing it over and over. I get here and there, maybe because you're being passionate about something, maybe, or whatever. But it was almost like he was getting upset instead of having a conversation. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to talk over you. And it's like, that's not a conversation. Like, that's not. And so it made me go, oh.
He does that, though. That's his thing in interviews, because he does try to push the Jesse Ventura persona.
Turn me off. Whatever that tactic is, like, it turned me off.
I'll tell you, when he was governor, he wasn't as pushy with that. When he did interviews, when he did appearances, he wasn't as pushy. But post his governor time, he definitely turned it back up. But I like, he does call people out on bullshit in interviews, which I like. But again, like, he pushes the narrative on questions like, why does this do this? Why is this conspiracy about, let's take, the Denver airport, the underground tunnels, I think, underneath the Denver airport. I'm trying to remember from his book. Like, he just explained things well, from what I remember, because I haven't read that book since 2010 or something.
I get it. And I get it. And that's like I'm saying. All these things are why I was all about him. And I was excited at that audience gig to be like, holy crap, this is awesome. In a non-wrestling way at all. It's all of the things, calling people out and not being afraid. And all of that stuff. Owning it. And I feel as a person who is also that way, it's a shame to me when I see people not hear someone's other side for just the conversation, because it's good to hear both sides. You don't have to agree. You could still feel like this person doesn't know what they're talking about, but you could see why me or whatever the case is. So to shut someone down and be like, "No, you're wrong." It's like a parent scolding their kid.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're
I
saying.
don't like that. I don't like that, and it's a shame because if he didn't do that, all of those things that make him awesome that you listed off would amplify, I feel. So it's like kind of when I talked about Spencer, he's dimming himself by doing this, whatever, whether it's a tactic or that's how he feels, or that's a little bit of both. I don't know. But it made me sad because of all of what you just said, especially the not being afraid to say anything.
Right.
Like in this kind of society we live in, so I really looked up to that, and he was somebody based on what he was doing and what I saw. I looked up to him, dude, and that's why I was so excited when I was going to do the audience work, just to be like, oh man, I want to get out of here, but if I leave I won't get paid.
It's a shame when you talk still about Spencer and even the stuff that we went over and kind of rewatching it and listening to it. I really still like what Spencer has to say and what he wants to do. Like, you can't knock somebody for saying, "Hey, I want to clean up drugs and homeless crap," and like the bad homeless side, like shit and doo-doo
Right.
and pee-pee and, like the scary side of things. Yeah, that was good. Good. Yeah. That was the hammer at home.
Okay,
But
got it.
what I just, and again, maybe again, and please do not take this the wrong way. Maybe it's just the fake Californian that I'm looking at when I see him. I go back to the book being released at the same time as his announcing he's gonna run, and I'm looking at a lot of the interviews of the past and him referencing his past persona and talking about how he adapted the persona as a way to get heat. And it's just like a professional wrestler. When do we know a professional wrestler turns it on and turns it off? How do we know he's being genuine versus not being genuine? Is he just being set up as the person now for this position because they need somebody to be the counteract to the complete opposite of what he's representing? So it's just, as an outsider, that's what I'm seeing. So I love what he's saying, because I would vote. That's what I would want to vote for. But I don't know if it's just the vessel that is not something that I'm liking from afar. Oh, here she goes. I heard her grab for it. I heard the crinkle.
All right. So that's what my whole point was when I talked about it a couple episodes ago. When that's the Spencer here in Cali, at least, we all know this Spencer. So for people to see or to learn, like how you're learning these things, to us, it's like kind of like, I think, go back to wrestling. It's like, yeah, so what? Like, this has been known for a long time. And then going back to your point, I know all the things that he says make sense, and all the things and then he's another one like a Jesse Ventura, where dude, he doesn't care. He will tell you how he feels, and he will say it how he wants. And that
Right.
goes back to that episode where I went more deep into why I've always teeter-tottered if I liked him or not, even though he was always this like crazy crystals villain guy, was because of that. Because he was unapologetically himself, will tell you to your face, yeah, that was fake. I worked it because this is what I wanted. This was my agenda. So that's what I made happen. And so that's just to me, that's why I take it to the next level when I talk about him, because there's a bunch of hymns like here in SoCal. And Spencer is like the leader of douchebaggery that falls under his category. And so all of this is not surprising to me at all that he's been running. Like when people are like, oh my gosh, he's, running. Not surprised, especially because I go back to when we talked about in that episode. What stands out to me is those fires
Right. Yeah.
and how hard he was going for Newsom, and how I mentioned that they put over the story of, oh, their child's bed is burning and it looks like a heart's burning into it. Like it seems all staged. And look, I'm not here to say it is for sure. I have my tinfoil hat on.
She hasn't taken it off.
I'm just saying, when you look at that timeline of events starting from the fires, and then let's go deeper. Okay. Don't come for me, people. Look, here, this is TMI for entertainment purposes. And I'm talking about things that already exist on the internet. I'm not breaking no kayfabe news that I know. I'm telling you what's on the internet. And we like to talk about pop culture and what's going on in the world here on TMI. I just want to say that disclaimer. Okay. So do you know who Allie Carter is?
The actress, right?
No.
Oh, that's
She's
Ellie Larder.
Ellie
Not Ellie
Carter's
Carter.
this supposed whistleblower that came out with like talking about trafficking and things like that. And something that was, if you followed her and her stuff, or like that the truth community, she had mentioned something before the fires happening, that there was going to be fires and it's going to be on purpose. And she talked about the Getty Center. And so then I don't know what the timeline was, but they happened, and I remember they made a big deal that the fire from the Palisades was getting too close to the Getty Center, and that made me think about that video where Allie Carter had said that. But then, like, I don't know, because then I don't really trust her. Like, she has, like, a vibe about her where I'm like, I don't know, like, I feel like you're kinda lying, but then I don't know. I'm just a girl that gets of things on her For You page, okay? So when the fires happened, again, I thought about how she said all the stuff, and then Spencer being the crusading king of the Palisades, and now he's running for mayor. And like, I don't know, it's just all weird timing. Weird timing.
Yeah, that I was getting confused with Allie Larder, the actress who is famous for the whipped cream scene and what was that, Varsity Blues, where she came out with the whipped cream bikini.
Oh, right. I don't think I've seen that movie, but I know exactly what
Okay.
scene you're talking about.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking. But yeah, Allie Carter, internet figure, online personality, gained viral attention for making severe, unverified allegations about widespread trafficking rings in Hollywood,
Mhm.
CPS, and the music industry. Her claims gained traction across various social media platforms, including Reddit and YouTube. The specifics of her story and the ensuing discussions are outlined below, and then they list the allegations.
So yeah, dude, she was like talking about like the P. Diddy stuff before like
Yeah,
the
that
world
listed
was.
there.
So
Have you
that's the
followed
thing.
that this last few weeks?
I haven't. What's the
Oh,
news?
the video, 40-second video of him, 50 Cent's fiance, and
I saw
a
something on Twitter
male
about
porn
that.
star. Yeah, so there was that. And then allegedly, which I didn't see anything about it, his son came out and said that he's got access to a tape of Sean Combs, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, where P. Diddy paid the two of them $500,000 each for a steamy session together, and that there's a screen grab of Beyonce like laid out and Combs behind her shirtless. So they're trying to say that that's legit, but I mean, in the AI world where we can manipulate anything, is it legit? Is it not legit? The video source that said the Sun said this, I watched this 45, 50-second nonsense video of this idiot kid walking around on a beach riding a horse. Like he's a absolute moron. No thought, can't speak. Yeah, but he's supposed to be the source of this video with Jay-Z, Beyonce, and P. Diddy getting it on. So,
First of all, look, tinfoil hat. If you look up reasons for this on the internet, chances are one of the searches will come up that's saying this is part of their rituals, telling you what they're doing. It doesn't matter. So there's that. It's part of what they do. So they don't care. Sean Combs isn't like, oh, you better not, son, or you're in trouble. Like, no, that's not what's going on. And then, secondly, who cares? That's their business if they want to get paid to be freaky with P. Diddy. Like, why do we need to know about this? Like, it's one thing when you're talking about underage things, that's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're talking about things that aren't cool, but if there's four consenting adults and they're just doing whatever, why is it our concern? At this point, it's just gossip. So, I don't know. I just don't know why it's our business to know about, even I'm not talking about the shady things, the elements of the things that have been coming out of Hollywood, like the trafficking and underage things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they're like, oh, these wild sex. Well, if that's people's things, that's their things. Whether they're famous or not, that kind of stuff exists. It happens all the time.
happens everywhere. It could be happening in my neighbor's house for all we know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I've heard some things about this neighborhood. So allegedly, it was a couple
Oh,
houses down, not in the house next to me, but
well, there you go. See? So that's what annoys me about that kind of stuff, because that's neither here nor there. Why are you telling me this? Why are you feeding me this media? Because who cares? That's their business. That does nothing. It's not illegal to pay somebody a gift, I guess. I mean, I guess prostitution, but if you're just like, okay, I'll kick you some money, just do this, fine. It happens all the time.
But is that considered prostitution? If so and so says to you, I'll give you X number of dollars, and you have to spend the night with me, quote unquote, is that prostitution? You're not doing it as a job. Prostitution is like the act of selling your body for like work.
I think it depends. I think some people would say no and some people would say yes. Let us know in the comments. What do you think?
I'm thinking Jay-Z and Beyonce took a undercut. 500 grand is for them.
I know.
That's chump change.
That really is.
That's what they pay the limo driver, brother.
That really is. I don't know about that. But that's their business. That's the whole thing about this P. Diddy stuff. Now, like I'm saying, there's very serious other allegations out there, and that's what's important. But when maybe that's why they want all this scandalous stuff out there, to distract from what the important stuff is.
I think eventually we're just gonna have a no, like, sanction, nobody gives a shit society. It's just all going to be out there. It's going to happen eventually.
I know.
There'll be like a service you just pay for, and everybody's stuff's out there. You can watch so-and-so bang so-and-so. Just, it's all out there, and just nobody's going to care anymore. It's just going to be whatever, whenever, however, do whatever. I think that's what it's going to be. It's the way it is.
I know, dude. Ugh, I weep for our future.
Hey, speaking of AI and whatever, let me introduce you to a few more of our friends that I've
Oh,
uh
geez.
manipulated into this world. We've got yelling angry Shelly.
Look at that mouth. Look at that mouth. My gosh. The
Okay.
teeth.
And we've got inquisitive holding a sign Shelly.
Ew. That's ugly.
That's Shelly. And then of course we have sad Shelly.
Sad Shelly. Yes. Here's the thing. So in our last show, you had asked if I thought when I brought up different timelines. And you said, "Do you think there's another AI Shelly out there?" Like I said, "Oh, you gave birth to this sad AI Shelly, and she's out
Yeah.
there, right?" I'm gonna tell you something that just happened. Just 2 days ago, I was talking with Metal Jesus, and he needed to get some information from me about, like, we're changing this insurance thing or, like, whatever. And so when he was asking me for, like, my driver's license number and all that, he told me that our policy that we've had for a while, they had my correct name, the correct birthday and month, but the year was 89. And so everything was the same, except it was 89 and a different driver's license number. And so I thought to myself, and so like they kept thinking, no, this is the Shelly Martinez, that's whatever. And that's when I thought about you. And I said, see,
There's
in the alternate
timeline.
universe, I said, there's a 9 years younger than me now. That's AI, sad AI Shelly. To kick me even harder is she's 9 years younger than me. Out there. Maybe
but look, I love that. Look, angry Shelly, radio rat. The shirt came out exactly like what you were wearing.
The teeth.
And look, radio rat stayed the same.
That weird nose gets me. It looks like I've had plastic surgery.
And then sad Shelly, look, your little flower stayed the same.
Yep, dude.
Still there.
See, this is AI Shelly that was on my policy. And it was a whole big deal because apparently he was on the phone for a long time. And apparently they were like, this has never happened before. Hold on. We need to get you to this department. So he was like on the phone because they kept going, this is weird. Okay. And you know how they do it. They had to relive the whole thing over, the conversation. So he's heard the same story a million times at this point, all because there's this weird alter Shelly that they were confused on how this was even possible based on, like, I don't know. So it's your fault. You gave birth
I
to this
apologize.
AI Shelly. And now 2 more to the family.
Yeah. So
2 more.
It's only gonna get worse. Sort of. I mean, you're great with your thumbnail pictures, so it's just funny now. If I need a change of expression, I don't even need to request it. I could just be like, "Meep," and it's fixed. But I readily admit it. It's fine. It's easy. Hey, when she churns content out for me, it's easy to do it quickly. This is a give and take relationship. She gives it and I take advantage of it. But no, it's I just thought that was so funny because I was like, I need her to hold a sign quickly. Let's do this. Let's see how it comes out. I'm like,
I know I'm
"Perfect."
lagging on these thumbnails. I keep trying to do it, and
Yeah, but you're
then,
editing the shit out of videos, so it's even better.
you know,
That's what I said. Give and take. I'll take them. You give them.
You know,
2 weeks. I got 2 weeks and I'm good. I want to pick your brain here a little bit. We're going to talk a little wrestling today.
All right.
As you know, as I prepare for my day and unwind a little bit, the only other wrestling show that I really can listen to, like, just without any breakdown of like I hate what they're saying and that is Jim Cornette. I just feel like because he is Jim Cornette, He's the only one I can listen to. I used to listen to Vince Russo's shows, but it just got confusing on where it was. I had the subscription while I was working for him, but then I wasn't working for him anymore, and then I didn't know where the subscription was, and I don't know. Kind of lapsed. But those are the only other two shows. I like Russo shows. I like Cornette shows, which is kind of funny because it's going to tie into my question here in a minute. But so Cornette's been going through old TNA agent reports, and he's also gone through a lot of OVW memos. So I wanted to kind of run by you your experiences with Cornette, which I'm sure you talked about, but you haven't talked about him on TMI. So we'll talk about a comparison of the two of them since, you've worked with both. But let's start with Cornette. Okay. OVW Cornette, TNA Cornette. You got a chance to be around him in both environments. What are your memories of Cornette? I mean, again, like I love him on I'll just start my experiences out with him. Interviewed him a bunch of times. I hosted the last Midnight Express reunion in the state of Virginia in 2019. So I've worked with him one-on-one. So I've had great experiences with him, and he's been awesome. But it wasn't in a wrestling environment. It was in a meet and greet environment. So what are your memories of Cornette, OVW, TNA, and everything in between?
It's weird because I get asked what my thoughts on him are by a lot of people because of exactly that. I got to be with him in two different eras. So when I moved to Louisville, it was like the 4th of July or maybe just before the 4th of July. And there was there was like 4th of July, and then OVW taping was shortly after. And then that was, I think, like my second day or maybe first day. I can't remember exactly. No, it was like my first time going to an OVW show. That's what it was. So I just moved. I hadn't gone to the classes yet, but I was able to go to OVW taping. That was supposed to be like my first check-in, right? So I went, and that was the day where Boris, aka Santino Marella, got into the fight with Cornette backstage.
Oh, that was your first day
That was my
there?
first
Wow.
day. Like, not my first training day, but my first,
Right,
I was
right.
to report. They're like, okay, get settled. Because I don't remember like where the 4th of July landed on that, but there was like a thing. So like they're like, okay, just your day to show up to check in was at this OVW taping. So I thought, because I was backstage, and then they're in this room that the way OVW was at the time, as soon as you come out of the curtain, like I guess you'd call the gorilla stage, there was this room, and that's where the monitor was. So they were in there, and they were like kind of coming out, and that's when he was like right outside of it. And like he was talking crap, and then he slaps Boris. And I'm like, what is going on? And I thought this seems intense. I was like, no, it must there's no cameras though. Like what? I don't understand. And like it was just such a blur after that. And then the next thing I know is the next day was my first day of like going to class. And that's how it worked then. Was on Wednesdays was OVW tapings, and then on Thursdays Al would review the tape with us so we can go over the show. So there was like this whole sit down. I was like, what is going on? So that's when they addressed that Cornette was no longer. And like I was like, what is going on? And they were talking about Heyman, and it was a blur though. Like I can't tell you what they said because I don't remember. I just remember being so confused and thinking, so that was real. Because
So
again,
you only had one day with Cornette
one day
in OVW?
Well, I feel that's what it was. Yes, because I could be wrong, but I feel that's what it was because
Wow. See, I
could
never
be
knew that.
wrong. I could be
Lem
wrong. Because here's the thing, if I'm getting it wrong, it's because I was so weirded out by everything that was going on
Right.
that, like I said, it's like I only remember bits of it, but the way I remember it, which I could be mixed up, so I would love to know if anyone out there can fact check and let me know, but I feel that that was how it was, and I remember when I interact with him, prior to the show starting, like him being very smiley and nice and like friendly and whatever. But if I'm not mistaken, I feel that's exactly because I just remember being shocked and like thinking what's going on. And then all of a sudden, like the sit down, and that was it. So
Wow, that's
that's how I
incredible. What
remember
a
it.
day.
That's how
So
I
the
remember
date
it.
is, I'll give you the exact date. It was July 8th,
See, this
2005.
checks out. This checks out
You
then.
are in the you were right in the neighborhood. So I
That
mean, I give
checks
you credit
out.
for that. July 8th, 2005 is when it occurred.
So, yeah, so that was crazy. So that was that, and then you fast forward to OVW days. I don't remember anything about Cornette, and
You
it's
mean TNA? You
crazy.
mean TNA days?
Yeah, what did I say?
You said OVW.
OVW, sorry, TNA days. I'm going to the TNA days. See, because here's the thing, now I'm all flustered because what trips me out about Cornette is I always felt like I knew I was cool with him. I remember having interactions with him in Louisville, him and his wife. So I don't know where that all plays in, if like he was just like around or if I was I don't know, but I just remember being friendly with them and liking them a lot. And then when I got to TNA, I forget I was there when he was until someone sent something. There's like a promo where all of us girls are there and he's like talking to us. And I'm like, this is a whole thing. Why don't I remember this? And based on hello, this is our 20th episode. I remember a lot and in detail as like all my stories in different eras of my life. But for some reason, I have no recollection of dealing with Cornette. And then when I like I said, I've seen this whole knockouts thing that he did. I'm thinking, what the hell? How do I not remember any of this? Like, this is wild. And so backing up a little bit. So then after TNA and I'm back in the indies and I'm doing meet and greets and things like that, I would see him especially at like conventions and things. So always really cool with me. I always felt like I had a cool vibe with him, whatever. But then slowly through the years, people will send me content where he's talked crap about me. And I won't listen to it because I don't know why. I just am like, whatever.
You don't want to hear the negative if you've had a positive thought of him in your head, which I get, and I'll let you continue. So don't forget what you were going to say. Why I listen to a lot of the clips, and again, I don't listen to every clip that's put out because I won't listen to the full shows because they're hours long. They're 3 hours long. I listen to picked out clips because they do upload a lot. When he goes over stuff about OVW or WWE or TNA in eras where I have friends who worked there at the time, I listen like so closely for something about my friends because I want to hear it because I have to know, do I report the good or the bad? And I just had that interaction with a friend about a week ago where I had to send a text say, you were just mentioned on Cornette, and he said, did he bury me? I said, no, not really. No, he was pretty good. It was okay.
I
But
heard
like,
he's
I
talked a
get
lot of
it.
crap about me. I
I haven't heard it.
that.
If he has, I haven't heard it.
I heard that he did, and that hurt my feelings. And then later, like I heard some things, and then that's when I was just like, I don't think Cornette's for me. I think there's a reason why I don't know what, but there's a reason why I blocked out his entire existence during my TNA run. I have no idea, dude. And it bugs me when I get these clips because it makes me almost question my sanity. I'm like, dude, how can I not remember this?
That's
But then
interesting.
as my feelings, thoughts, and emotions have unfolded here on TMI, I didn't realize until recent years how much my firing at WWE truly affected me in my mental space when I was in TNA. So, I don't know. It's it's crazy though because it's saying that I remember so much detail, good, bad, and the ugly of my TNA days. Why can't I remember Cornette? It's so strange.
Yeah, that's hey, look, I mean, again, there's only so much you can fit in the vault. And it's one thing I want to go over in the summertime as we go through some more shows. Things you because your time in TNA, I don't even really remember as a fan. And I was watching TNA during that time pretty religiously, but I don't remember a lot of that stretch. So I kind of wanted to go through those TNA shows with you, like top to bottom, and see like what we could talk about. But it's kind of interesting because Cornette's time in TNA, he's an authority figure. He's, he's back, he's a agent, and then he's the director of whatever, and then he's this, he's that. But it just seems like when he reads these agent reports, like he really had a great take on where they should have been going with a lot of stuff, but they just like they were very stubborn, or I guess Jeff to Dixie was very stubborn about the direction they wanted to move TNA. And I mean, look, it stayed around for as long as it has, so all power to them, but it just could have been so much bigger at the time. And I think had they listened to Cornette, they really could have taken off like big time. And I don't know if the clash with him, and we'll get to Russo next, if that played such a big part, but having both of them at the same time, like you got to give them credit that they were able to contain the two of them together at the same time, for as long as they did. That's magic in itself. But if they had listened to him, some of the feedback he was giving, I mean, it really could have played a big part. But that's one of the goals I have for this summer, is for us to go through your TNA time a little bit deeper, because now we know you got to get into it a little bit more to remember some of those TNA shows.
Dude, you just triggered what it is. Oh, I'm so glad we had this conversation because this bothers me. I am confusing my experience with Cornette with OVW. Point in case, when I slipped when I was even talking just a few minutes ago, and who were like, "You mean TNA?" And I was like, "What did I say?" Like, even then, like, I had to know what did I say? Didn't I say TNA? I guess I didn't. I think my brain switched, and I think the experiences I had with him, I'm remembering them because they were at TNA, not OVW. And what backs that up is that date that you pulled out, because
Yeah.
it wasn't OVW. When I said, "No, I remember, like, him being around and, like, talking with," that's what it is that was TNA, not OVW. Oh my
So if he
god!
was, yeah, because I mean, if your first date was the Santino incident, he's fired, he's gone. So you really would have only spent whatever the first literal like infancy, walking through the door, shaking people's hands,
Yes.
getting to your initial impression of what the building was like, and then he's fired, and then Heyman comes in, right, and then Heyman takes over, I think,
That's where my
from him.
obsession began.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so the stuff that
That's
you're
what
thinking
it
from Obi Dub is more.
is.
And granted, he was still around Louisville. It's not like he
Right,
left.
right,
He still lives there.
right.
But yeah. So okay. So again, we'll dig more into Cornette, because I think that there's some repairment that needs to happen, because I think what happens over time with him is like, I don't know, like when he doesn't see you or he doesn't experience you, I think that he just tends to think the negative for a while, and I don't know if he probably reviewed your one of your matches.
My vag match?
He probably reviewed that at some point. I'm gonna have to go
That's
dig into that.
fine.
And
That's
that
fine.
may be one of those things he sticks in the front of his brain. But again, like I, I can't say enough professionally of how great of a guy he was to work with and do the Midnight Express reunion. He was so instrumental in like having the entire event like be perfect. And that was the last convention that I hosted, and to me, it was my favorite one that I ever did because he was so good about putting it together that I'll never have a negative impression of him because of his professionalism. And it sucks I have no contact with him anyway because of the go between we had at the time. I have no contact
Gotcha.
with. So,
Well,
but again, different capacity for us.
here's the thing. I love that you want to revisit my TNA days because as I mentioned early on our when we first started, I call it TNA days because it was a days. And I forgot a lot of stuff too. And I love that there's this account that follows me on Twitter called Diva Crave. And they'll
Yeah.
always be like, on this day, LAX, da da da. And like what they just did one, I retweeted, I always retweet with Matt Morgan involved, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even remember this, like, I need to watch this," like, and or moments will happen that I forgot about or I think about a lot, and then this Diva Crave account, thank you, they always are tagging me and stuff, and so I think it'll be really cool to revisit because as much love as Kevin Thorne and Ariel get, which is duh, who wouldn't? I feel LAX sometimes takes a back seat, and there is no back seat. They're uncomparable. Like, that's when people would ask me, "Which one did you like better, Ariel or Selena's?" It's like, I can't tell you which one was better. It's 2 different entities and 2 different times in my life.
Right.
So, what I had with Kevin was super special and unique. What I had with Homicide and Hernandez, and even Hector, but mostly Homicide and Hernandez, was very special and unique. That's why they couldn't and it's no dissing anyone else that joined LAX after me, but it was never that same vibe ever. And I'm proud of that. Like, I'm proud that they didn't try to replace me per se, you know what I mean? Like, "Oh, be this character that Shelly was." They just evolved what LAX was, and that's cool,
It's a great
but,
point. That's a
you
great
know
point. They continued LAX, but they didn't replace you per se. They didn't replicate what you were. They just continued LAX for a long time. I mean, they
Right.
really kind of just disbanded like 3 or 4 years ago. But that's a damn good point.
Because they knew no one could replace me. Here's the thing, somebody had tagged me or in that one that I retweeted, there's a screenshot of or a little graphic of the match, and there's me, and I have this bandana top on, and the story behind that was, I don't know the details, and I try to ask Homicide, he's like, "I don't remember." I'm like, "Damn you!" But there was this vibe at TNA that they would go to Homicide to tell me what to do. Like, "Oh, Shelly shouldn't be wearing those shorts. Tell her not to wear shorts. Tell her to wear pants." And so so what ended up happening is we made a joke of it to where, like, if Vince Russo was right there and he just got done telling Homicide something, I'd say, "Hey, Vince, do you have something that you need to tell me?" And then he'd be like, "Yeah, why don't you tell her what you guys just told me? You guys pulled me as," and so we would make fun of it to their faces. So you would think they would be like, "Okay, let's just," and I can't tell you how many times I had expressed, "Look, this is my character. Talk to me about it. If I need to change something, no problem. That's not a problem at all. You need me to tweak something? No problem. But tell me.
Yeah.
Don't go through Homicide. It's my character. I gave birth to her. And I made everything that no one once told me what to do with Selena's, just like with Ariel. I created it and they chose me in those roles because they knew I knew what I was doing.
Right.
So they kept getting on me about my outfits, and this is at the point where I'm already the girl, whatever, but they wouldn't say anything. So what I did is they kept telling me about these shorts that I had. And so instead I was like, "Okay, I'll put the pants on." So I put the pants on and I got my bandanas backstage and I got like double-sided tape so I knew for sure I was taped in. And out of my bandanas, I made a top to give them like a F you. "Okay, you're gonna like keep going to Homicide about my shorts. Okay, I'll put pants on." But now I'm going to piss you off by making the teeniest, tiniest little top out of my bandanas. And I'm going to go on TV wearing just that. So that was
Perfect.
so I got to go look and see that match because I just remember being mad and like that was my big fu to them. All right, I'll put here's my top. You like my top?
We'll figure out like what's the best way to go about it. But I mean, I already wrote it down. We're gonna call it TMI's TNA days, and we're gonna go back and we are going to look at your TNA run because again, like I don't have the best recollection of things from that time, but I watched TNA religiously from about 2000 whenever they got onto Fox Sports after the pay-per-view run. Like I'd get a pay-per-view when they were on strictly pay-per-view once in a while. I had a friend who was religious in his purchases of getting them, so I'd see them from him, but I would get one here or there, and then when they got on TV I'd watch them pretty much until I think I said it maybe last week, like until the Hogan Bischoff era I was really in. And it was kind of like maybe 2011 I stopped, but we got to tap back in. I think that's worth it. But so we'll flip over to Vince. So then first impressions of Vince and then working directly with him. I could see you two from getting to know Vince a little bit. And again, working with the brand, working with Vince over the years, just knowing your personalities meshing right away.
Absolutely. I love Vince Russo from the moment I started interacting with him, you know. I give him a hard time sometimes, like when he would go and tell homicide, you know, whatever, but it was cool to deal with Russo because I knew I can be like that and he's not gonna be like, "Oh, look at Shelly's over here being a bitch trying to call me out." He's like, "Well, I don't know, like, they told me to tell him and this and that." So, there was just this we were both unapologetically ourselves, and I think that's why we got along so well and that we can talk the way we did, and it's so funny. I can't remember if I told this story. I don't think I have on here, but here we go. So, I won't name names because I gotta reserve people's privacy. But there was this time where I was having a really rough time. Nothing to do at work. It was just like my personal life, you know. And I was in the parking lot with somebody medicating, and we were just chit chatting, and you know, she was just there for me. And then all of a sudden, I got this feeling like I think I'm supposed to be doing something right now. And I just went, oh, and I jumped out of her car, started running. And then I see Vince going, "Where's Shelly? Where's Shelly at?" And then I turned around, I said, "Hello, I'm right here." What? I had to take a shit. I can't take a shit in peace. Like, God, I'm here right now. I had to cover my ass. And because I realized if I said something like that, how are they going to argue it? They're going to believe it, right? Even though I probably stunk like the freaking blunt we were smoking. I was like, I was taking the shit, man. What am I supposed to do? I'm here. And then I just remember Vince used to have this thing with me in LAX. He would call it there was some movie where they call some drug blue magic. So he'd be like, "Come on, let's make some blue magic, blue magic." And so I just had this kind of almost like, again, I always say this, my life's a movie, call me Martin Scorsese, like moments with Russo back then. And it was so awesome. It made me, because I was such a sad girl, because I felt so heartbroken over the WWE stuff. And then I was like self-sabotaging. It's like dealing with someone at like Russo at work or LAX at work and the things that we used to do. We used to play jokes on people all the time. Like, and I'm talking about people who I'm like, oh my gosh, like we used to bust balls to Christian. And I'm thinking, Christian and Edge, like, oh my gosh, like hello. And here I am all like it was so awesome. And it's what I needed. And my connection with Russo was something that I craved. It reminded me of being like working with that director or writer and you're an actress and you just have this rapport with. Oh, I just loved it. I just loved it. I loved it. And I'm glad to now connect the dots to know that that's what when my positive it makes sense even more my positive energy and connection with Cornette at that time, even though maybe the details I don't remember, that it was the TNA days. That's why I remember, like I was saying, oh, he was really nice and this and that. Man, why can't I remember?
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. There's a little glimpse of TNA days. Now with you and Russo, is there like, so you've stayed in contact throughout the years. You've obviously both podcasted throughout the years. He's been on your show. You've gone over and done some brand shows. Like, what do you think? I thought this used to be when I used to do interview shows. Okay. This used to be like one of my big, like, gotcha. This would end up in the dirt sheet moments, right? What do you think the biggest misconception is of Vince? Why people are so prone to be negative when it comes to him? Because when you get to know him, he is a genuinely nice dude. He is very supportive. But why do you think people are so prone to be anti-Russo? Is it because of Cornette and how vocal he is? Is it because they believe the character he played from 25 years ago? Like, what do you think, having been around him for so long?
I think there's different groups of people that fall in different categories. I think there's the people who exactly what you just said. They only look at the character and they can't look past that. And then there's some people who they feel it seems like they have this vibe of like he's always constantly getting accused of working for WWE secretly and like different things like that when it's like he really doesn't he's just him. Like the Russo that I've seen online all these years is exactly the Russo I know. So it's interesting to me to see people think that he's looking for a job, that he secretly has a job, like
Right.
that he has all these different agendas instead of looking at how cool it is that with Vince Russo and all the experience he has, he's being totally transparent, not sugarcoating things, talking about his experiences, talking about his thoughts from being on that end. And that's the other thing too is people don't get because unless you live that life, you don't know it. And even other wrestlers, yeah, maybe you're a wrestler, but you haven't been a person that's a writer and puts together the show. And like, not everyone does that. And not everyone who has done that has done it on the level of Vince Russo has. So, because of his experiences, I feel people get rubbed wrong because they think there's got to be some agenda here, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, he does actually. Maybe you don't think about it that way because your mind doesn't go there because that's not what you've done for a living, but he has, and he's sharing this knowledge with you people,
Right.
and you're getting upset about it, hating the man, make like online bullying him, like, I just can't. So, I think that's what it is. There's just different people have their different take based on either believing the gimmick or they just feel he has an agenda.
Okay. Yeah, they just got to get to know it. They got to watch shows, which again, like I did, it was very tied into it, I was very passionate about it, but I lost my way over time.
Well,
Now there's
here's
too many. There's too many things to check out now. I couldn't keep up.
here's the thing. So, this is just how people are in general, I feel. Typically, people already have people that like how we're talking about how they're not open-minded, how they can't have a constructive conversation or, even if you disagree. People already put like somebody like Vince Russo in a box and they're like, this is who he is. I don't care what proof, quote unquote, comes that shows me otherwise. And it also goes back to kind of your point earlier because of maybe of a Cornette or whatever, the fandom. So if my favorite is this person and they hate Vince Russo, I'm going to hate Vince Russo and I'm going to take on the attitude towards Vince Russo, because my favorite wrestling personality or my favorite wrestler openly says this about Russo. So this is what, so it's a little jumping on the bandwagon-y because they're like being a super fan. That's why I think it's hilarious when he's like, look, you marks. And this is like, it's true, dude. It's true. It is. Like, sorry to break it to you, kid, but you're a effing mark. It's, So for me, going back to Jesse Ventura earlier and what I liked about him in that regard and like a Vince Russo is I've also seen Vince talk to people and hear them. He doesn't just talk, but he listens.
Right.
And when he listens, I see him absorb. Like he really is listening.
Yeah.
And I'm even talking from experience when I've been frustrated and going to a Vince Russo at TNA, he's really taking in. He wants to be a problem solver, So that's why I'm just like, dude, go ahead online, dude. They are marks.
Huge marks. That's why he castrates the marks.
He
Those are more
castrates those
those are the
marks.
dirt sheet writers, which I'm in. Another story for another day. What else you want to talk about before we get out of here today?
You know what? Let's end it with this. Something that I actually brought up to you a while ago, and we just haven't gotten to there yet.
She's got the tinfoil hat back. It's back.
All right. So I would like to talk about, because Billy Corgan gave me the I guess guts to talk about this. But I like to talk about shapeshifters and what you think about them.
Oh, yes. I remember you had asked me about this. I got to be honest with you. I never really thought that much about them, to be fair. I mean, I've seen things online about them. I've witnessed videos where people claim there has been some shifting of shapes and some body changes. I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I'm buying into this one. So I don't know if I had a tinfoil hat. I don't know if I'd be wearing it right now. This one it's hard to believe for me. So what can you impose upon me as it relates to this topic?
I'm just going to give you facts, okay?
A fact away. Let's hear it.
Just facts. I'm not going to even tell a story. I'm just going to give you facts, okay?
Let's hear it.
Now, this has all been inspired because I think this is a very interesting story, but I don't talk about it publicly ever. But then I saw on Instagram.
You said you weren't going to say a story.
Well, the fact. Well, let's just beep, back it up. Okay, so I never told this, but I never talked about it publicly. And then I saw on Instagram this video like a while back of Billy Corgan talking about seeing a shapeshifter, and I was like, see, I'm not the only one. If Billy Corgan can talk about it, I can talk about it too for TMI. So again, skipping the story, just going to facts. Fact. I was at this hotel. There was a meeting going on there with a bunch of fancy people. And I was schmoozing because I was like, oh, who are these people? Why are you here? Blah, blah, blah. Fact. This man was talking with me, this man in a suit, and we had a conversation, and he gave me his card. And as he gave me his card, he said, look at my eyes. And I looked at his eyes. Fact. They went, the pupil, and they were like snake-like. So he goes, don't you see what's happening inside of my mind, body, and soul? I was like, whoa. I didn't know how to process it, but I couldn't let it on. I could not let it on.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, I see it. Fact. I took that card and I put it in my room, and I was freaked the F out. And I remember looking at the card, and I wish so badly I took this picture of it. It just had like a first name and a number. So that story has bothered me, or those facts have bothered me for so long since it happened.
Right.
Because I've always just kept it private. And then as time has gone by, because this was a while ago, hearing different people have stories, and I'm like, dude, that's what it looked like. And I'm not the only one that has this weird story about this. So that was what I call my shapeshifter experience.
Maybe he was just cross-eyed.
I wish he went like this. Do you see what's happening? And the eyes, I'm telling you, it wasn't, you know how you can kind of manipulate your pupils, make them a little bigger
Yeah.
sometimes? It wasn't that. It went,
Okay. All right. I mean, look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that you're, you know, not seeing what you think you saw. I'm just saying this one is a little hard for me to believe. And again, I've seen the videos where they're like, look, it's Obama. He's really a, chameleon or something, or he's a gecko or some ridiculous thing. Like I've watched those. I just don't know where I'm at with it. I just don't know if I can get behind this one. But if it freaked you out, I mean, it freaked you out, you had the genuine feeling of it. So, have you seen one since? Have you seen this man ever again online? Like,
no,
where
dude.
you at with it?
It was a one-time situation. Well, there was this other time, but other time I don't wanna talk about. But that one, at least, because the other one involves being intimate with somebody, so
Oh,
I don't wanna go there.
well,
But
listen, if something shifted, I mean, and we can put two and two together what it was, but I think it might have grown versus shifting. So,
but this one was more specific because of the pupil.
I get it. Okay,
I'm
yeah,
not saying,
pupil
"Oh, we
movement
kinda
is
look like this." The fact it's a fact. Fact, I was in this hotel. Fact, there was this man. Fact, he said, "Do you see what's happening?" And when he said that, fact, his pupil turned into the, like, snake line.
right. I get it. Again, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I also just watched GI Joe the movie where they did this with the spores and they turned everybody into snake people um like a week ago. So, you know, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. But
Maybe there's some sorta talent out there where people can manipulate their eyes like that. Maybe, I don't
maybe,
know.
but like we always say, tell us what you think in the comments. Because maybe I'm 100% wrong. Maybe you're 100% right. Maybe you're 100% wrong and I'm confused. I just don't know. It's just, look, whereas I believe a lot of different things, I believe about different societies and underground shenanigans. This is just one where I haven't gotten on board. So,
Well, it's not about getting on board, it's this happened to me, and whatever it was, whatever that experience
okay. Yeah,
was.
again, I understand it happened to you, but I just overall, it's just something I'm done. This one I have a hard time with.
And I get that, and so do I. That's why all these years I've never talked about it because it's weird, and I just thought there's gotta be some kinda debunking in this, and
Yeah,
then over time, things becoming more talked about.
right.
It makes me rethink the situation and saying, "See, there's something there," because I have this gut feeling like I don't like there's still something to pay attention to with that.
Right.
And whatever the thing is, let's just say for argument's sake, somebody it was an illusion. You know, there's illusionists out there, people carnying it up. Let's say this guy worked me, okay? The end of the day is the fact. He said, "Do you see what's happening here?" And his pupil went. So whatever that means, whatever. That was my experience, and it was so weird that it happened so long ago that I still think about it often because it creeps me out.
It's creepy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's creepy that you had that experience. So we're just gonna have to wait for somebody else to have the same creepy experience and report back to us. So hopefully it doesn't happen to you again. You've had enough.
I know,
creepy
maybe
stuff.
because I talked about it. Will, please don't come for me. Look, please. I'm just a girl.
Yeah, leave
trying
her
to have
alone. Leave Shelly alone.
trying to have my little YouTube show here, try to share my stories. Don't come for me.
Don't at her, bro.
And I had the tinfoil hat
All
on.
right. You do. You definitely do. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here for this week, episode 20. Had a little bit of everything. If you want to go back and check out 1 through 19, do it on the YouTube feed. Also, I actually just got a huge email update from YouTube Premium about how they've enhanced the YouTube Music app for podcasts. So I've been talking about it for all 19 episodes. And they did a whole thing about how, and I went through this whole email being like, I've been talking about this for 19 episodes. If you want to take this podcast on the go, download YouTube Music and take it with you. And you can listen to either the full episode of the podcast, or if you want to hear the clips, you can listen to us in clip form. And you can toggle back and forth between the video and the audio. If you're a runner, you want to run with us. If you're mowing the lawn, you want to mow the lawn with us. If you're just sitting at your desk during your day, you want to do your work with us. Whatever it is, that is the way to do it via YouTube Music if you're not just playing us in your regular algorithm. So, yeah, go ahead and keep doing that here on Shelly's YouTube channel, the only place to find TMI. If you want to follow me, it's at ChadEMB on X.
And hello, if you don't know, now you know, go to shellymartinez.net/links for all the things I got going on.
If you don't know, now you know. We talked about Vince Russo. He likes to say, bro. And now we got to go. So for Shelly from Cali, this is your old buddy, the Chadster. We will catch you on the flip side.